Hey, you've tuned into Math with Mr. C, and today we're doing 15.2, Patterns and Equations. We're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Now is your opportunity to check your 15.1 practice homework side. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Alright, how can you find a pattern to write and solve an equation? So today we'll be looking at tables. They can be up or down, or they'll be sideways. And from that, we're going to write equations, which means they do have an equal sign. So the table to our right shows the cost of weekend tickets to the Slide and Splash water park. I'm waiting for it to be warm enough to go to a water park again. Find a pattern between the number of tickets, N, and the cost of tickets, C. How much would 6 tickets cost? I see that we have a blank right here. Write a rule and an equation that tells a pattern. Specifically on this one, I know that we're going to have N times something, and that's going to equal the cost. So I have N, which is 3, and we're going to multiply that times something, and we get 16.5. Now these are all different examples, but they all follow this same rule that we're going to find. It's 4 times that same number, and you get 22. 5 times that same number, and you get 27.5. Now there's different ways that I could find out what this number is. But let's just go over one way that we could do that. Now let's act like that mystery number is P, because that would be like the price of one ticket. See, we have 3 tickets here, times the price of how much that ticket costs, and that will equal our total cost. And I'm just filling in numbers here, so we have 3 for N, I'm substituting, and then I have 1650 for C. I'm going to put that in right there, 1650. And I know that we've seen a problem like this before, and I'm wondering if you know what to do. This is 3 times some number equals 16.5. What would I do? Well, I would divide both sides by 3. Like so. Alright, so we have both sides divided by 3, and we have P equals 550. So if we go back to that chart, if we just had one ticket, the cost would be 550. So, and what we're seeing down here is we're seeing if it checks with the clue word of drone. So let's see, is 4 times 550 the price? Is that 22? Yes, it is. Is 5 times 550 2750? Yes, it is. So that would mean that it checks, which means that this is the correct price per ticket, and that means that we have found our correct equation. So our correct equation here, you could write it 2 different ways. You could write C equals 550 times N. That's the price per ticket times how many tickets, you'll get your cost. You could also write that as 550 N equals C. They're both the same thing. So if we want to find out how many 6 tickets costs, this is the number of tickets N, so we're going to put in 6 for N. And so we have 6 times 550, and that is 33, so our answer will be $33. You do not have vocab notes today. Alright, so we're still on example 1, which means that you're watching me do this, but the table shows Brenda's age B when Talia, T, is age 7, 9, and 10. Write a rule and an equation that describes a pattern. Then find Brenda's age when Talia is 12. I'm going to ask you right now to write this chart in your notes with the labels Talia's age T and Brenda's age B. Take a second to do that. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Alright, there's different ways we could write this. We could start with T equals, or we could start with B equals. And they're gonna look slightly different, but they're gonna mean the same thing. So let's start with T equals first. Alright, so with this T equals, we have something that's going to equal T, so we're going to start with B, and something's going to happen to B to get to T. So what is happening to 2 to get to 7? It could be multiply by 3.5, or it could be add 5. Now let's see if add 5 is correct all the way down. 4 plus 5, that is 9, that's correct. 5 plus 5, that's 10, that's correct. So what we're doing is we're taking B, you put in any number for B, and you're going to add 5, and you get 2t. So if I have 2 plus 5, I get to 7. So that is correct. And I'm writing these just different ways so that you can see that. I could also put it backwards like this, 5 plus b equals t, or b plus 5 equals t. Please write those equations in your notes. Now let's see how it's different if we start with b on one side, because these are both right, and the ones that we're going to write right here are also going to be correct. B equals, all right, so we're going to start with t something. We're going to arrive at an answer for b. So what happens to t so that we get to 2? Well, that's, if you take away 5, then you get to 2. 9, if you take away 5, you get to 4. Likewise with this one. So you have t, you start at t, and you take away 5, and then you get to b. Likewise, it can also be written like this. It doesn't matter which side b is on. All of these represent this correct equation here. And I'm going to show you checking my answer here. So t, I'm going to take 7. I'm going to minus 5, and it should equal my b value here, 2. Is 7 minus 5 2? Yes, it is. Therefore, it's correct. Here's our number 2 example 1. Here's the equation that we got from the first problem, and here's the same chart. So in this example right here, how much would 12 tickets cost? See if you know what to do. This is the price of one ticket. That's going to equal the total cost. Where would I put in the number of 12 tickets? Well, I'm going to put it in for n because it stands for number of tickets. So I have 550 times 12, and that's going to equal c. We don't know what c is yet, but we're going to multiply. Add straight down. And I guess where do we put the decimal? I'm going to count 1, 2, 1, 2. So my answer would be $66. With a second clue word of flying. So here we are to example 2. So there's different ways that we can write this. We can write y equals or equals y, or we could write x equals or equals x. So for equals y here, we're going to do something to x and it's going to equal y. So how would I possibly make negative 2 into positive 30? How would I make negative 1 into positive 31? I'm trying to look for a trend. Well, I know that one way to make negative 2 into positive 30 is if I multiply negative 2 times negative 15. I'd bring over both negatives, and I get positive 30. So let's see if that works here. If I multiply negative 1 times negative 15, is that 31? Oh, that's positive 15. That's not right. So it must not be multiplying here. Let's try adding. What do I need to add to negative 2 to equal 30? Well, if I add 30 to negative 2, I get 28. But if I add 32 to negative 2, I get 30. Let's see if it works here. If I add 32 to negative 1, do I get 31? Yes. If I add 32 to 0, do I get 32? Yes. So we're going to have x. I start with x, such as negative 2. I add 32, and I get to y. Now I'm going to challenge you to complete the rest of these equations, and I'm going to show you how they could be written in 5. Please pause the video. 3, 2, 1. So these are a little different because if you arrive at x, so you'd start at y, you'd start at 30. How would I go from 30 to negative 2? We'd have to subtract 32. All of these are a correct solution to this table. Now I'm going to challenge you, try to come up with your solution for this one. I'm going to give you a clue. It's multiplying by something. I'm going to show you all 4 possible answers for number 6 in 3, 2, 1. So for this one, if I get to equals m, so I'd have to start at n. How do I make negative 3 into 1? How do I make negative 6 into 2? I notice that a negative is becoming a positive. So a negative, to become a positive, there would need to be 2 negative signs. So if I take n here, negative 3, and I put in negative 3 divided by negative 3. I know I bring over both negative signs, it becomes positive 1 like it is here. So I knew that I needed to divide, because it was becoming smaller, by a negative, so it became positive. And here, n equals, alright, so something's going to arrive at n. So we're going to start at m. What do I do to this 1 to get to negative 3? What do I do to this 2 to get to negative 6? I would put in my m, my 1, I would multiply it by negative 3, and I'd get negative 3. All of these are possible answers for this. There's independent or partners practice. Please try to do both, and I'm going to show you all 4 possible answers in 10, 7, 6, 2, 1. There's our first one, and there is our second one. Make sure you have all the answers written. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. At this time, please click the Khan Academy video and practice below, and then you may choose one of these 2 options. Thank you for watching, and you're awesome.